Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to see class 10 science chapter 7 reproduction in human beings. So today we'll be learning about the changes that occur during the puberty in boys and girls, and also why reproductive maturation happens at puberty, and we are going to learn about the male and the female reproductive system and trace the path of fertilization, implantation and embryo development. Let's start with the topic, children. So reproduction in human beings. Generally, this human reproduction, it is a biological process, yes, through which new human beings are produced, that is, we are produced. So it ensures the continuity of the human species. So reproduction in human happens by means of sexual reproduction. It means it involves the fusion of the male and the female gamete. So we already discussed in our previous videos. So fertilization, the fusion of the male and the female gamete occurs, right? So here also what happens in sexual reproduction, fusion of the male and the female gametes takes place. And what is this importance, children? Why this human reproduction is important? Because it maintains the continuity of life and also it transfers the genetic information from the parents to the offsprings. And then it produces variations that help in adaptation and also evolution. For example, like we can say, a child inherits characteristics such as an eye color, hair type, and height from both the parents. So let's start with this slide. Puberty, the sexual maturation period. What is puberty, children? See, puberty is a period during which reproductive organs mature and they become functional. So when it happens, when we take girls, it happens in the age group of 10 to 14 years. In boys, it is 12 to 16 years. So this stage is controlled by hormones. So what are the common changes we can see in boys and girls? Let us see some physical changes. We can see growth in height. By means of height we can measure, and then hair growth in armpits and pubic regions we can see, and then increased sweating and also oily skin and pimples. So these are the some physical changes. What are some emotional changes? Like we can see increased self-awareness, mood swings they will have, and attraction towards other. And next we are going to see the changes which are happening in boys. So what hormone is responsible for all these things, children? In boys, testosterone hormone causes all these some changes. So what are the changes we can see in boys? So growth of the beard and mustache we can able to see, and then broadening of the shoulders we can see, deepening of voice change, yes, deepening of the voice we can see, then enlargement of the reproductive organs and also production of sperms. For example, a voice was, it becomes deeper due to enlargement of the voice box, larynx. This already we have studied in our lower classes. Then what are changes we can see in girls? Which hormone is responsible for all these changes? So estrogen. Estrogen plays a very important role here. So what it does? It helps in the enlargement of the breast, broadening of hips, and beginning of the menstruation, and also maturation of ovaries. That is very important. Maturation of ovaries. So a girl starts her monthly menstrual cycle only after the puberty. Why does the body mature at puberty? See, why not earlier? Why always it takes a place after the puberty? Why? Because during childhood, the body's energy is mainly used for what? You have to grow, right? And also development of the organs takes place and your brain development, very important thing, right? So brain development takes place. So only after this sufficient growth only, our body begins the reproductive maturation. And what is the importance of this puberty? Actually is a preparation for reproduction. So what happens? The body becomes capable of, it produces gametes, fertilization, and also pregnancy and childbirth. So what are the biological signals, children? See, physical changes indicate the reproductive maturity. For example, we can say this facial hairs in boys and breast development in girls indicate the sexual maturity. So I have given you all the important points over here. Just go through all the points, children. Is very helpful for you. So next we are going to see the male reproductive system. So what is the function of this male reproductive system? See, the male reproductive system produces the sperms and also it helps in transferring the sperms into the female body. That's the function of the male reproductive system. And let's study the different parts here. See, I have given you the diagram for the human male reproductive system. So first let us see the parts, then we'll discuss the function of each and every part. So the first part here is the testis. So this is the testis, and where is this testis is present inside the scrotal sacs or the scrotum, we'll say. Then this tube-like structure, this is the vas deferens, and from vas deferens this tube is extending and it is reaching the seminal vesicle. We can able to see the prostate gland here, yes, and also you can able to see the bladder over here. That is a urinary bladder, and this reaches by means of this urethra. Yes, it is going to the penis. So these are the different parts of a male reproductive system. So let's start with the testis. So this testis, what it does, it produces the sperms and it secretes a hormone called as testosterone. Very important. It secretes a hormone called testosterone. So millions of sperms are produced daily inside the testis. And next is the scrotum. So this sac-like structure, it holds the testis. Actually, what it does, it maintains the temperature 2 to 3 degrees Celsius below the body temperature. And what is this importance of the scrotum? See, sperm production requires a cooler temperature. So in order to maintain the temperature, so the testis is present in the scrotal region. So it is the scrotum is maintaining the temperature. Vas deferens. So vas deferens is nothing but a tube which is carrying the sperms from testis. Next comes the seminal vesicle. So it adds nutrient-rich fluid and also it provides energy to the sperms. Next is the prostate gland. Actually, what it does, it adds alkaline fluid and also increases the sperm mobility. Yeah, movement of the sperms, sperm mobility. And the last part is the urethra. There is nothing but the passage for urine as well as the semen. Penis. So it transfers the sperms into the female reproductive tract. So these are the parts and its functionality. Let's move on to the next one. Next we are going to see the female reproductive system. So already we saw for male reproductive system. Again for the female reproductive system, what is the function of it? The female reproductive system, it produces egg and it receives the sperms and also helps in the embryo development. That is, it supports the embryo development. So different, let us see the different parts also here, children. So this is the ovary, this is ovary, and this part is the oviduct. From here it is going to the uterus, and this part is the cervix, and this is the vagina. So let's start with this functionality. So the first part is ovaries. So this ovaries, it produces eggs. Another name is ova. So it secretes hormones as estrogen and progesterone. Usually one egg is released every month. Next part is the fallopian tube. Another name is oviduct. So this transports the egg to uterus and it is a site of fertilization. So here only the fusion of the gametes takes place. Male and female gametes, right children? So it happens in the oviduct, that is nothing but our fallopian tube. Then comes the uterus. Uterus is nothing but an elastic bag, muscular organ where embryo develops. So what it does, it provides protection and nourishment to the growing baby. Then comes the cervix region. It is nothing but a narrow opening between uterus and vagina. So next is the vagina. So this vagina, it receives the sperms and it acts as birth canal. And then placenta. Placenta is, it connects the mother and embryo. So it supplies the nutrients as well as the oxygen to the baby. So next we are going to see fertilization, implantation and embryo development. So here so many steps we have given like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So first step what happens? Sperm enters via the vaginal passage during the intercourse. Then it travels to the oviduct where it meets the egg. So there what happens? Next to the fertilization process, that is the fusion of the male and the female gamete happens in the fallopian tube. Yes, and it forms zygote. Then the zygote in the fourth, you can able to see embryo divides. The formation of the embryo takes place. The zygote undergoes repeated cell division. It results in multicellular embryo. Then implantation takes place. So what happens? The embryo attaches to the thick uterine lining. So this process we called as the implantation. Then development of the fetus takes place. So these things and all I haven't mentioned, but you should know, children. So development of the fetus, what happens as development continues, organs begin to form and then embryo becomes a fetus. So placenta is a very important thing. It's like a lifeline of the developing baby. So what it functions? So it supplies oxygen, it supplies nutrients, it removes the carbon dioxide and also removes the waste. For example, we can say the baby receives the glucose from the mother's blood through the placenta, and also the waste from the embryo passes back to mother's blood for the removal process. And at last, sixth one is nothing but the birth. When the birth takes place after about 9 months, so the uterine muscles contract and the baby is delivered. So this part or this process we called as parturition. So next we are going to see menstruation. What is this menstruation? So menstruation is nothing but is the monthly shedding of the uterine lining when fertilization does not occur. So usually it takes place 2 to 8 days. Yeah, roughly once every month. So we have menstrual cycle. Let's start with the step 1. What happens there? Egg is released from where? One egg is released from the ovary each month. Yes, and in the step 2, uterus is getting prepared. So what happens? The uterine lining becomes thick and rich in blood vessels. What for? To nourish a future embryo. And in step 3, what happens? No fertilization is occurring now. Okay. So if a sperm does not fertilize the egg dies within about 24 hours. Then what happens? Shedding of lining takes place. So the thick uterine lining breaks down and comes out through the vagina. This process we called as menstruation. Why does menstruation occur, children? Because egg remains unfertilized, uterine lining is no longer needed. That is why menstruation is occurring. For example, we can say if fertilization occurs, menstruation stops and pregnancy begins. So next we are going to see the reproductive health and STDs. So reproductive health. So reproductive health means nothing but our physical well-being, our mental well-being and also our social well-being, which is in turn related to the reproduction. And then we are going to see about the sexually transmitted diseases, STDs. What is STDs means? Sexually transmitted diseases. So these diseases spread through sexual contact. So how it is spreading? By means of sexual contact. Bacterial diseases like gonorrhea and syphilis and viral diseases like HIV or AIDS or genital warts. How to prevent it? We can use like a safe practices like use of condoms or health education can be provided and medical consultation can be done. And example we can say how to prevent like condoms reduce the risk of both pregnancy as well as the STDs. Social issues and health issues. What is this? See, generally various pressures among young people they will face during this period. How to solve it? So, what are the different pressures over here? Peer pressure. So, young people may feel pressure from friends, and then early marriage. It can affect the health and also the education. And then government efforts to limit the population also. Yeah, we have some schemes from the government, right? And then female feticide. So illegal practice of killing female fetuses before birth. Contraception methods to avoid pregnancy. So what is contraception? So methods used to prevent pregnancy are called contraception. Methods used to prevent pregnancy are called contraception. So we have different methods like a barrier methods. Example like a mechanical barriers method. Examples are condoms. So you prevent the sperm from reaching the egg. It's very easy to use and it prevents the STDs. Next is the hormonal methods like drugs, medicines you can use. So birth control pills which can be had orally. So what it prevents the release of eggs from the ovaries, but it will cause some side effects. Sometimes it will imbalance our hormones in our body. That is why it is risky to use. IUDs. IUDs. It is nothing but intrauterine devices. So intrauterine devices examples are copper T and loop. So it is placed inside uterus to prevent the pregnancy. Sometimes it will cause uterine irritation also. So surgical is a permanent thing. So what happens in surgical when we talk about the male, vasectomy can be done. That is the vas deferens is cut and tied up. In female, it is tubectomy. That is the fallopian tubes are cut and tied up. And what is this advantage? It's a permanent method of contraception. So here I have given you some memory tips and easy ways to remember. So menstruation means, if menstruation occurs means no baby. So lining is outside the body. It is going outside. Once lining was prepared for a baby. So no fertilization, no baby. Lining no longer needed. It is shed. It happens 28 days cycle. It differs 28 days to 32 days. Yes. So 2 to 8 days the bleeding will be there. Contraception, BHIS. So four categories are there. First one is the barrier, that is a condom example. Hormonal pills, hormonal like pills you can use it. Yes. IUDs, IUDs is nothing but you can use a copper T or loop. Then surgical, yes, vasectomy or tubectomy, and each has its own side effects, children. So I have given you some frequently asked board exam questions. As I said in the previous videos, I'll give you answers for all these things in a separate video. Yes. So functions of the test is they have asked in 3 marks in the year 2024, 2022, 2019. You know, it produces sperm, secretes testosterone, and changes during puberty in girls is breast development, broad hips, and menstruation begins, right? Then embryo gets nourishment through placenta, which transfers nutrients and oxygen from the mother. And the fourth one, because fertilization does not takes place, and that is why uterine lining is shed. And methods of contraception, just now I told you barrier method, hormonal, IUD, and surgical method. Yes. So we have come to the conclusion part. So what we saw today, we saw about the puberty, that is nothing but the period of the reproductive maturity. We saw about the male reproductive system, it produces and transports the sperms. Female reproductive system, it produces eggs and supports the embryo development. Fertilization means it occurs in the fallopian tube. Fertilization is nothing but what is the fusion of the male and the female gamete. Placenta, it provides nutrition and oxygen to the baby. And what is menstruation? Monthly shedding of uterine lining when fertilization does not occur. Contraception is nothing but it prevents the unwanted pregnancies. And what is the STDs? Can be prevented through awareness and safe practices. So these are nothing but STDs. What is STD? It's sexually transmitted diseases and it can be prevented. So we have come to the conclusion part, children. That's all for today. Just watch all the videos. Yes. If you any doubt, you can ask in the comment section. Yes. Thank you, children. We'll see you in the next video.